And welcome to the We Like Sportz Show. I'm your host, Ed in Columbus. How you guys doing? I'm doing great, actually. Got a big game tonight. It's a Monday night football game in Pittsburgh. And as you guys all know, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, and my Brownies 1-0 go to Pittsburgh to face the 0-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. And hopefully the Browns can get a victory. They don't do that too much in Pittsburgh. Only basically 3 wins since 1999. They had the Phil Dawson kick in 99. 16-15 Browns. They went in 2003 on a Sunday night with Tim Couch and routed the Steelers 33-13. And then, of course, a couple of years ago, they had the Baker Mayfield playoff victory. But we got another co-host. We got Keith Allen coming in. We know that he's a big Browns fan. He's got his Browns gear on. Let's talk to Keith. Keith, how's it going, my guy?
What's up, Ed?
You tell me, man. You are in Cleveland. How's the pulse? How is the city? I'm in Columbus, so plenty of Browns fans here. But you are in the heart of Browns country, and they got a big game tonight.
Yes, sir. Everybody's ready. Can't wait till 8:00.
8:00. That's right. You know what? Too. There's another game on. Who cares? 7:15. I think it's between the Saints and Panthers. I don't know why the NFL does that. Maybe in case one of the games. Either. Maybe in case one of the games or blowouts or something like that. But I think most of America will be watching on ABC in Pittsburgh tonight at 8:15. So I can't wait.
Well, I got some people that's from Louisiana. They'll be watching.
Okay. Well, those Cajuns down there in Louisiana, they got to watch.
Yeah, they'll be watching. But
fair enough.
No, I don't know why they did that. That's some
7-9 bull, as Jeff Fisher would say.
Exactly.
But I want to get your thoughts. We're going to get into plenty of NFL, but we got to do some housekeeping. Got to keep Peyton happy. Got to keep him happy. So, do you need a pre-workout? We Like Sportz Show and Titan Nutrition have teamed up. So head on over to titannutrition.net/We Like Sportz and get 10% off your order. So you want to check that out. And also check out, and don't forget to check out, I should say, because that's how it's written. I want to be concise here. Don't forget to check out the Snooze You Lose podcast with Uncle Joe, the Black Bookie. He has you set for your Sunday Snooze You Lose pick of the week. And you know what? Lately, he's been dabbing into parlays. 6-1 on his 3-team teaser parlay. He had the Eagles money line. He had the Jags +10 and the Chargers +4. And so if you rolled with Uncle Joe, the Black Bookie, you were a winner. So check that out. Everybody will want to check that out. And check out Official League. They're one of our new partners. They got cool caps and everything like that. So you want to check them out. I think I'm good with that. Peyton Vince, want to give a shout out to him. I know he's going through some stuff right now. So prayers up to Peyton Vince and everybody. And I know he's going to be watching the Browns-Steelers game tonight. So hearts are with him. So on that note, let's see here. I wanted to talk, Devil, real quickly, because we're going to hit NFL so hard, but baseball talk a little bit. Obviously, the Guardians, their season's over with pretty much, but we've been winning some games, and Giolito has been doing well. Do you bring him back next year?
Yes.
I agree. I agree with that. I think he can be a dominant starter. He has been. I know he's hit a rough patch this year, got traded to the Angels, and you know what? But since he's been in Cleveland, he's turning around. I think there's a future with him. And with Bieber, maybe if Giolito gets hot, maybe Bieber, you trade him next year. Look at Aaron Savali for the Rays. I mean, come on. I mean, I would like to have him, but and I like to see what he does in the postseason. But he's a winner.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, and speaking of the Rays and the Orioles, they played a series this weekend, and because the Guardians beat Texas, both of them qualified for the playoffs. So, hey, maybe some Christmas cards coming Cleveland's way via Baltimore and Tampa. And another thing, too, break-ed news, Tampa has agreed, I know this is going to make Casey happy because he's down in Orlando and goes to many Rays games. But
they got a new stadium.
Got a new stadium, 30,000-seat dome, should be ready by 2028 at a price tag of $1.2 billion. So we'll put it on the We Like Sportz Show credit card. We got that paid off for like that. Just ring it up.
Cleveland, beware.
Well, Cleveland, I'll say this. Now, they are putting in about $350 million in renovations to the gem that is on Ontario and Carnegie. So, instead of building a
Oh, I wasn't talking about far as the Guardians. I know they're going to get that hooked up. I'm talking about the Browns.
Oh, yes.
Their stadium issue is coming up.
They are having one, and also down in Hamilton County, down in Cincinnati, they're having one. They're not talking about that because they got Super Bowl expectations, even though they're 0-2. But they got the same kind of problem that we got. Their stadium was built 1 year later, and they haven't actually put in any of the renovations that we put in Cleveland. But I still think it's time for a new stadium in Cleveland.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I know it's definitely time for one up here.
No, definitely. But do you hear that, Keith? Because I definitely think it's time for breaking
news.
That's right. This is in Columbus with your We Like Sportz breaking news. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers has come out and said he might shock some people and is targeting a playoff return. But if Zach Wilson continues to be the quarterback, there won't be anything to return to this season, and Rodgers could have a new teammate next year. And with the first pick in the NFL draft, the New York Jets select Caleb Williams, quarterback USC. The Denver Broncos lost a heartbreaker by not getting a 2-point conversion after a Hail Mary pass was answered. On that 2-point conversion play, it appears there was pass interference, but since the passer was Russell Wilson, the referee kept his flag in his pocket. And on his iTunes, listened to hip-hop artist Future on his flight out of Denver. Mask off. The Colorado Buffaloes continue to win, beating Colorado State this past weekend in dramatic fashion. The Buffaloes do it in style. Got to give Coach Prime his props. Hat and sunglasses on. It's personal. This is in Columbus with your We Like Sportz breaking news.
Man,
it's personal. It's personal. I love these shades. I love Coach Prime. I love all these things in Colorado. So
I stayed up to 2:30 in the morning watching that game.
You were not the only one. I fell asleep and I woke up because about 1:45 it must have been, and I saw the game had gone into overtime, and I quickly turned on my TV and was happy to see that the Buffaloes got the win in an affair that was closer than I thought it was going to be. But you know what I liked about Colorado and Coach Prime with a young team down by 11 in the fourth quarter, didn't rattle Shadir Sanders and the squad, and they got it done. They got it done in a big way.
That dude.
That's all I can say. What are you eating on, Keith? What are you snacking on here a little bit? That looks good.
Some macaroni and cheese with broccoli and hamburger.
Oh, not bad, because tonight during the Browns game, my wife Kelly, she is making chili, so we're having chili tonight. So
okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, you got a little chili, got to beat down the Steelers. It couldn't be a better
night. Yes.
I'm telling you,
I can't wait.
So, what are your keys to victory tonight, Keith, and the Browns?
If they can run the ball for about 100, 150 yards, they should win this game.
Oh, definitely. What do you see as the Browns' big? What do they need to stop on the Pittsburgh Steelers offense first? If you're the defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, what are you keying up on? Because we know the Browns have a dominant defense, but what are you looking at the Steelers team and thinking, okay, we got to shut this down first?
Got to shut Najee Harris down. And put pressure on Pinkett. Pinkett.
Yeah. Small hands, mitten hands, Kenny Pickett.
Yes.
I definitely agree with that, because once you shut down Najee Harris and make them one-dimensional with some of the receivers out tonight, I know we don't have Amari Cooper, but I think, it hurts them more than it hurts us by not having one of our receivers. So we'll see. And then, like I said, make Kenny Pickett win it. And I think, if Joe Burrow can't, throw but for 82 yards against us, I don't think that Pickett will be the answer. But hey, it's the NFL. That's why we watch. I don't want to, be too confident and too cocky, but I am a little bit, I'm feeling good.
They got to unload the dogs on Pinkett, make it his worst nightmare tonight.
Well, what's cool about that? I think as we talked about on your show, and props up to your show, Locked On Sports 216. Am I getting it right? If I'm getting it wrong,
sir.
Locked On. Yeah, I got to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
But we discussed it a post game after the beatdown of the Bengals.
Yes.
We were talking about how this Browns team can get pressure with not blitzing. And I think that, with Kenny Pickett, if we can do that tonight, it's over. I mean, it's over for him. I mean, but I wouldn't mind to see like this. I would like to see maybe a corner blitz on him from the blind side, maybe a Denzel Ward just crushing him, or an Emerson just taking him out and he doesn't even see it, because they're not. I don't think they're expecting us to blitz. And if you do something like that out of nowhere, I mean, that could be lights out for the Steelers.
Because if the Browns can blitz, because they already can rush 4 as it is.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's the thing about it. It's like the beauty of having a defense in that wide 9 is just being able to get pressure and without having to sacrifice the rest of your defense.
True.
And
I think
that
can do that and dictate down and distance. Hey, we should be talking about a victory.
I'm with you. Now? Here's the thing about let's go to Deshaun Watson, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, they're thinking for the money. They always bring up the money, even though he's, 8th paid highest or 9th now with all these new contracts going down. But I would like to see Deshaun go out there and throw for close to 300 yards, only because, like, I think it's time. This is his 8th game now, 6 last year, 9-1 this year. So it'll be his 8th game back. I would like to see some of those Texans numbers that he had, but thinking about it is, obviously we don't have to do that to win. Deshaun doesn't have to play a perfect game to win, but I would like to see him get going, because going on, especially throughout the season, there's going to be times maybe against San Francisco and against some of these other tough defenses, they're going to key up on the run, and then it's going to be, you're going to have to go, I'm dating myself, but Air Coryell if you must, and throw that rock all around the field.
True. But you know what? If Deshaun can throw for a solid 250 today, with no picks, no fumbles, and if he can run for about 50 yards, he used his feet.
Yeah, and you know what I like about that? People always get worried. They're like, oh, you don't want your quarterback to be a running quarterback and he'll get hurt. And look at AR for the Colts got a concussion yesterday. I look, baloney. Look at
Anthony
Lamar Jackson.
Richardson and Lamar Jackson. Thing about Lamar Jackson and Deshaun, thing with Lamar is like 6'2", 6'3", and you really never get a clear shot at Lamar.
Never. It's frustrating, but especially being a Browns fan. But and I say, like I said, I was saying baloney to that, because I believe a quarterback, if they can run for about 50 yards a game, it softens up the defense. You look at Lamar Jackson, how they beat the Bengals yesterday. He ran for about 50 yards. I mean, you want him running maybe 5 times. I mean, there's going to be times that he has to improvise. But I like the design runs. I like the touchdown that they had against the Bengals, how they, I'm saying, you look at even Danny Dimes had basically the same kind of play that Deshaun had yesterday. I love my quarterback being able to run for that, 13, 14 yards and get first downs, whether it be touchdowns or, whether it be in the middle of the field. But I love that. I think that you need that. The NFL is fast and tough enough. And if you can get the defensive coordinator to think what the quarterback's going to do with his arm and his legs, you're 2 steps ahead already then.
Yes. And they stay away from turnovers. That's the key also.
I'm with you. I like what you said when you talk about Deshaun Watson, and like the first thing you said is 0 turnovers. You know what I'm saying? Because look, play a clean game. It's one thing to go into Pittsburgh, and I do think the Browns have a dominant roster compared to theirs. I think, it's lined up for us to go in there and win, but let's not win ugly. We could go in there and win, 20-12, and it could be ugly, or we could go in there and play, clean football, and we should win by 2 touchdowns if we play clean football, and you know what I'm saying, and leave no doubt. Because I think moving forward, it's not about just wins in the NFL anymore. It's about, okay, moving on to next week. I know they always say be 1-0 this week, but as a fan, it's kind of hard, and we're allowed to be fanatics. But I also think the coaches are lying when they don't think about. I'm not saying they're game planning for the next team. I'm not saying that, but I do think they look at the bigger picture. Stefanski breaks up his season into quads, into 4-game seasons, and he likes to go 3-1, 4-0 in each one of those quads. So, I definitely think that you got to play clean. You got to play good, because that carries over. Playing clean football carries over. And you got the Titans at home the next week, which is a very, very, very winnable game. But in the NFL, there's no guarantee.
NFL ain't no guarantees. Every game is close.
No, and that's what I think that the Browns need to keep in focus is win tonight, play clean, and like I said, it carries over. Any other thoughts about Pittsburgh, Cleveland? Because like I said, I think that clean football wins it. I think Deshaun 250. I like that number. I like your numbers on Chubb. Myles Garrett, how many sacks tonight?
I want that whole line to feast on Pickett.
Okay, fair enough.
Everybody on that line should get a sack. You know how Philadelphia was last year?
Yes.
Where they had 4 defensive linemen that had like 10 sacks apiece or more.
Okay, you like to spread the wealth, do you?
Yes, everybody. Everybody join in on the party.
Everybody's eating tonight. Keith's eating. Everybody's eating tonight.
Everybody joins in on the party tonight and everything.
I love that.
Because the Browns have got to win this. It's not crucial that they win this game, but it will say a lot. And if they win this game, they're 2-0 in the division.
That's correct. You know what? And I was watching the Bengals Ravens game, and I was talking to my wife yesterday, and it's kind of hard not to root for the Bengals over the Ravens because we have a lot of Bengals fans down in living in Columbus. But and obviously what the Ravens were, obviously the former Browns, blah blah blah. But I said this to her, and I'm actually glad the Ravens won, and here's why. Because the Bengals usually get it together. So as many losses as they can take early on in the season is beneficial for the Browns, considering that they're the defending champion of the AFC North. Also, the Ravens, I don't like them winning, but if they're going to win early, because say Lamar Jackson gets hurt or is out a couple games, that's where they'll take their L's there. So if they can go to Cincinnati and beat them early, it's like, killing 2 birds with 1 stone or feeding 2 horses with 1 plate, as the new kids say. I don't know. We don't want to kill any. We don't want to kill any birds here. So,
and you got to think about it. Also, Baltimore got Cincinnati's number too, along with the Browns.
They do, and even in that playoff game last year, it was a
Sam
Hubbard
fluke.
Yeah, it was a fluke. Yeah, exactly. Because even with their backup quarterback,
yes,
they were winning kind of.
And yes, that was a fluke play and everything, and everybody expected Cincinnati to really do damage to them last year in the playoffs, and it didn't. I didn't see Cincinnati winning this game. Yes,
I didn't either. I think that I don't think that. Well, we got our special guest. I want to welcome our special guest because he's going to talk about Colorado. He's going to talk about Denver Broncos and being a Browns fan. But we will talk about them because they had a very, very interesting game yesterday. So without further ado, let's have our
two
special
interesting
guest
games over that weekend in Colorado.
That's correct. Let's bring him on. What's up, my guy? It's Justin Adams. And guess what? News and sports anchor reporter for CBS News Colorado, covering Colorado first.
Good evening, Justin.
Hey, what's going on? And guys, I see you out there in all your Cleveland gear. I would like to pay my respects via John Elway. We love you guys. We love you, man. Thank you.
I was 6 and 7
Dude,
during the
that was a gut punch.
I was 9 years old in '89 when we had beat you in the regular season, and then you pretty much whooped us the second half of that '89 game. But I've always said this. It was so funny being a Browns fan. I never liked John Elway for what he did, but when you guys played the Packers in the Super Bowl and John Elway did that helicopter, I actually got up and did one of these and was excited. My family looked at me like I was crazy, but I couldn't help but root for John Elway and the Broncos fans, because when you go through what he went through and everything, I was happy to see that. And then obviously the next year you beat the Falcons and then he retires and good for him. And, I'm just saying, but I mean, the Broncos broke my heart so many times, but I'll say this. I actually don't blame John Elway and the Broncos. I blame our defensive coordinator for playing a prevent defense. Because what does a prevent defense do? It prevents you from winning.
Just like Colorado State. Just like Colorado State over the weekend.
Colorado State. And I'm glad you're here. I got questions for you. I you know what? The hottest team in all of college football, and I think the hottest story in all of sports, but obviously Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes. And I'm going to date myself a little bit, because would you say that Colorado being the center and the epicenter of the sports universe, this hasn't happened since, I'm going to date myself again, 1990. Eric Bieniemy, McCartney, and the Colorado Buffaloes, national champions. You know what I remember? I was 10 years old. I remember that game against Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl with 10-9, beat Rocket Ishmael. That was awesome. So props to Colorado Buffaloes. And so, Justin, tell me how it is in Colorado and Buffalo right now, because I got to know the pulse. I got the beats on the street. What's going on?
And it is ridiculous what's going on right now. I've never seen anything like it. To have college game day and also big noon kickoff on two sides of your campus at the same time. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, let's be honest, guys. We think of Ohio State, right? You're in Cleveland area. So you think of Ohio State, you think of Alabama, you could think of all these other top tier programs, LSU, for example, right? Have they ever had both major college football pregame shows on campus at the same time? I don't remember that ever happening. And we're talking about a team, again, that was 1-11 the year before in one offseason. We're not even talking about a full calendar year. It has dramatically changed to where now you have to, if you're not talking about Coach Prime, or if you're not talking about what's going on in Boulder, pretty much you really don't have that much of a sports show. I'm talking about nationally. Like, you have to go and talk about them one way or the other. That's just the Coach Prime effect, and it's amazing to see.
Well, that's why we have you on, because we know that.
That's right. That's right.
We know that. And I'm glad you said that about Ohio State. I am an Ohio State graduate. I love the Buckeyes. I have my whole life, obviously. But because of the Colorado Buffaloes phenomenon, average, and I heard this stat today, average ticket prices, and I don't know if this, obviously excluding the secondary market, but Colorado has passed Ohio State. Your average ticket is $517. Ohio State's is $512. I mean, that's something to behold right there.
It's ridiculous, guys. It's one of those things where you look at it, and to be honest, me being an alum, play for the Buffs. Heck, I'm even wearing some.
You're in the okay.
Right? I got so yeah. I'm an alum, play for the Buffs and everything. To be able to see the student section the way it was last week, I mean, it was just jumping. We're talking about a game that didn't end until 2:30 Eastern time, right? It was just ridiculous.
I watched it.
I think that's the major thing about this story is that it's no longer just like, oh, this is a cool team, whatever. I'm going to go to sleep. You have people who are legitimately losing sleep to watch this game. And it was just amazing. I mean, guys, I don't think you ever heard of Colorado State before. I don't think you know where Fort Collins is on the map.
I do. Here's why. Because Earl Bruce, former Ohio State
coach,
went to Colorado State. So that's how I know that. Is it Colorado Springs that they're in? Is it?
No, so it's at Fort Collins. Colorado Springs is where Air Force.
Air Force. Okay, I knew. Okay, so see, I knew a little bit, but I didn't know. To your point, I didn't know everything about the Rams. Yes, the Rams.
Yep, the Rams. So it just shows again just the power of Dion, the power of Prime, and the power of this story again. When you see a team that literally was awful, and I mean like awful to the point where even I watched a Division II football game over my alma mater, watching that game in a suite. I mean, when they played against Utah last year, the final game of the season, I had a chance to watch that game in a suite. I decided to watch Division II football, right? Playoff football, rather than go and watch them. So it just shows how much things have really changed around Boulder.
Well, it's always glad to see that. And my questions for you is like, Coach Prime and his impact. I watched the 60 Minutes, last night, which was on CBS. So
I missed that. Yeah,
yes, your station. And watching him and saw what he did at Jackson State and see how he uplifts everybody and his players. What I liked, what he said best was, he took a lot of staff from Jackson State, and they're going to have better careers because of it. He's moving them along. Those players at Jackson State that he moved, they're moving along, to Division I, and that's going to help them out as well. And the Coach Prime effect, obviously, when he was on the field, the flash and everything, but he's actually uplifting people's lives. He's making people's lives better, and I love to see that. And hopefully, more people in the Colorado Boulder area. I mean, I'm sure he's going to do that as well. I mean, look at you, look at your interest on your team and everything for you in the sports and anger news. I mean, your job's a lot easier, isn't it?
It is. It's a lot easier. If people want to talk, people want to be a part of it. Like, people want to know what's going on in Boulder. People want to know what's going on as an alum. People just want to know what's the feeling, what's the boots on the ground that's going on. And that makes everybody's job easier. But you know what this really reminds me of? It reminds me a lot of when Peyton Manning came to the Broncos. After the whole Tebow mania, Peyton Manning came to the Broncos, and he made everybody's job a lot easier. He helped a lot of journalists be able to go and get covered nationally as well, right? To get those national jobs. Why? Because when the spotlight is on you, those are networking opportunities. Those are opportunities for people to see your work as they do your research. And when you do great work, and that spotlight's on you, not only will the program shine, but you will shine as well. So everybody's being able to get a little bit to eat from this.
Now I got a question. What was the view of Prime originally when y'all found out originally that he was headed to Colorado?
Yeah, you know what's funny? Everybody thought that there was no way that he was going to be here. Like there's no way
Really?
that he was. Like why would Deion Sanders come to Boulder? And and I thought it was hilarious because 60 Minutes said it correctly. It's always 99% white. By the way, this is my son.
Yeah, no, it was only what is it, 1% in Boulder?
Yeah, 1% black, right? And so it's like you would never think, right, about this guy is going to come to Boulder. This is my son, by the way. Say hi.
Oh, hi, hey, how you doing, my
Hey,
guy?
what's up?
Future buff, by the way. But as you just see, like he's coming to this place. He's coming to a program that hasn't been relevant, that had really one winning season. You talk about 2016, and as magical as that was, they went right back down to being a team that didn't go to a bowl game, right? Back to irrelevancy. You're looking at a program that really didn't have any solid foundation since 2004. To go from that to where they are now, it's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I'll make it even simpler.
Yeah.
My uncle, he's a graduate of Jackson State.
Wow.
My uncle Arnold Adams, excuse me, and I love him. And
Shout
so
out.
shout out to my uncle, man. He's in Africa right now with his wife,
Nice.
and they were able to really go and just keep up with everything at Jackson State. I was going to watch days with Jackson State too, and the moment that it was being said that Deion may come over to the Buffs, they were just like, "Oh, this would be terrible." My uncle's like, "This would be an awful place. Why would you want to go to CU?" Literally the week after he signed on the dotted line, Uncle was like, I didn't know CU had this many type of facilities. I didn't know it was that beautiful. And he said this, how can you not win in Boulder? And I'm like, duh, right? Again, when the spot
Honestly, he's right.
Absolutely everything changes, and it changes your perspective too.
Well, my question, I got another question just for personal. How much is it, easier, how much more joyful is it, especially being an alum of Colorado, going to work, having more assignments, covering Coach Prime, doing this, in your life's got to be it's fun. Is it just more fun? Is life fun?
It is. But you know what I love is the economic impact. As somebody who is, obviously African-American, was able to be in Boulder and play, I know a lot of different stories that other people don't know. So I'm able to go and talk to people about, hey, what's not only the economic impact, but look, you have all these black athletes, right? And it's not that you didn't before, but now you have all these upper echelon, more well-known black athletes that are going to be in your town. How are they being treated? What are some things that are in place to make sure that they could be able to succeed not only on the field, but in the classroom, on the streets as well? And so those are the really interesting stories and fun stories that I'm able to do, because anybody could break down the X's and O's, right? Anybody could be able to look at the final result of the game, but the why is what's really interesting to be seeing Master P on the side.
Right. Make him say, oh.
Right,
Little Wayne.
You got Lil Wayne, man.
Come on. The Rock.
Guys, it used to be Ralphie was the one thing that you were waiting for.
I had a question for you. My question to you is, Ralphie, how close have you ever come to Ralphie?
Dude, I have been, man, look.
Because he's scared, man. You won't get in his way.
Well, it's a she, by the way. So, I've been face to face with Ralphie before, and I've never ran so fast in my life, okay? That's just one thing I'll say about Ralphie. But it is one of the cherished traditions in college football to be able to run behind Ralphie. She is so amazing to be able to do that. But when you add those type of traditions, along with the entertainment factor of like a Lil Wayne going to lead you out, along with Wu-Tang Clan being on the sidelines during the Nebraska game, along with all these other different entertainers, you not only become one of the cherished and top football programs in America, but you also become one of the most entertaining programs, not just in America, but in sports in general and around the world.
It's like when Snoop Dogg went to USC and Pete Carroll and that whole Reggie Bush era, USC was cool again. And then you had all the West Coast rappers and everything like that. So I always say this about everything. My son, basketball is his first sport. And, he went to Target today and got it wasn't Future, but he got some rap artist, you know what I'm saying? And I love that, because it's through entertainment, it's through basketball, it's through, making it cool again. And Colorado's making it cool again. Yes. You have all these entertainers, and I just think it's awesome. And I think, for Boulder, maybe being only 1% black, maybe it's a good thing that this is happening, because like you said, there's more focus on them. There's more integration of how, not just on the field, but also, like you said, on the streets, how are they treating people? You know what I'm saying? And I think that socially, then we can evolve that way, and that's always a good thing.
And you know what? It shows how sports brings everyone together. Like historically, sports will always bring people together. I'll give you one a little bit off the beaten path. In 1934, there was this thing called the Denver Post Tournament. So keep this in mind, okay? The Denver Post Tournament. It was the first integrated tournament, baseball tournament, in the history of America. Why is that important? Because if you don't have this tournament, then you don't have what Jackie Robinson did a couple of years later. I say that to say this. We're not just talking about integration per se, when you look at what's happening in Boulder, but always sports has a way of being able to bring every ethnicity together, no matter who you are. You know, when someone scores a touchdown, you hear a roar, and the roar is not in different languages. It's in
you don't care who's you're happy,
and everybody is slapping high fives and everything.
Yeah, everybody's equal. Everybody's equal.
Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter your gender. Doesn't matter your ethnicity. And so that's why it's so important to see what's happening in Boulder, just to be able to bring everybody together. That's the truth.
I'm glad you say that. And my next question is, I hope he stays a long time. But how long is Coach Prime in Colorado?
That's a good question. For people that I've heard, it could be for a while, and they're very confident that he could be there for a little bit. I mean, he's 55 years old, right? And his son, if he doesn't declare for the pros, will come back for at least one more season. And then you have Travis Hunter, who can't go and transfer, right? Because he came from Jackson State already. They transferred from Jackson State to CU. Cannot transfer again without having that year off, right? So he's going to be there. So you would figure at least until 2025. But then let's say if he does want to stick around a little bit longer, and let's be honest, for him, and there's a great article from Dan Wetzel right now on Yahoo, and he made a great point. Where else are you going to get this? Like, why would you want to go to?
He's a rock star.
If you're bringing everybody to the crowd anyway, why do you have to go somewhere else? Everybody's already here. And so that's one of the things I'd say for him is that I don't know how long he will be here, but he's going to be there for a little bit. Yes, son. Hold on, son. Yeah. Okay, we'll get you some food. Okay?
I think he's going to be there for a while myself.
Yeah.
I think at least 3 to 4 years, at least.
Could be low.
Because I don't think he has any interest as far as the pros anyway.
Yeah, no, he said it several times that he doesn't have any interest in the pros. And so that's one of the things that, I mean, because here it is. Here's the thing. And this Pete Carroll, he knew this too when he was at USC, right? When you're in college, I could get as many first round, second round draft picks as I would on my roster, right? There is no salary cap. Even in NIL, there is no salary cap for name, image, and likeness.
I see the watch that Shadir Sanders has.
I try to do the same thing too, but I only thing I can do is just count how many steps I have on my outfit.
I was going to ask you. You didn't see my breaking news, but I was going to ask you. Did you get the shades too?
You know what I have? Hold on, son. Can you go grab the sunglasses? You think you got that?
Got to get them sunglasses.
No, but it's just small things like that, right? You can add as much talent as you want, as much depth to your roster as you want, and you are at a position where you can go and make such a huge influence on the lives of young men between the ages of 18 and 23. Once they hit 24 and they get millions of dollars, it's not the same cachet. And so for Prime, for Deion Sanders, staying at the college ranks to be able to be that voice, that mentor for those young men, that's something that he really wants to do. So I don't know how long he'll be in Boulder, but I would just say this for the University of Colorado, just make sure, and I know that they are, that they have all these other different things in place.
Now, I got a question for
all these things in place for the next person, I would say.
Are you from Colorado? What made you go to Colorado? Like, I'm just curious.
No, same thing as you are. I was an individual who grew up, and one of my dreams was to be able to play football at CU. And at the time, I knew they had a very strong journalism program. And so I knew for me that I wanted to go into broadcasting. And Colorado's always been something that you just adore. I've always loved it. The Rashawn Salam days, Eric B.
Rashawn Salam, yes, the Heisman winner, yes.
How about this guy? So my senior year in high school, we had a guy who used to coach on the Colorado Buffaloes when they were in their heyday with J.J. Flanagan and all those guys, Oliver Lucas. So he was a part of really turning around the program under Bill McCartney. So he was our high school head coach. Well, J.J. Flanagan is one of the assistant coaches. Another assistant coach was on the defensive line who played on that championship team in 90, right? And so you have all these guys. Alfred Williams was a guy who would come in ever so often. Yep. So you had all these guys who was, famous, huge as buffs, who you can literally talk to, shake hands with, talk crap to, right. And they talk to you about life. And so when you have that backing, when you have those type of individuals who are right in front of you that you could touch, so you could be able to to talk about life with, come on, man.
Okay, I just like I said, yeah, that's awesome. You know what I'm saying? Be proud. I love the fact that the Buffaloes on the rise, and you know what I'm saying, it makes you excited. But we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it real quick. I know your son's hungry, so I won't keep it too long. But we have to. Now the Buffaloes are the darlings of the Denver, Colorado sports world. The Denver Broncos, I would say, probably are not.
Right.
My thing is this with the whole Russell Wilson experiment. I know he threw for like 300 some yards yesterday, had the Hail Mary, but you know, I don't know. Maybe the referee, like I said in my breaking news, was listening to Future and is not a big Russell Wilson fan. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because that was pass interference, by the way. That was pass interference.
Oh my God, yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah. But they're 0-2. What's it like to be a Denver Broncos fan right now? Because is Sean Payton the answer? I don't think Payton and Russell Wilson, I don't think that's going to work. I just don't.
Right. I'm trying to think of the equivalent to Cleveland, and I'm trying to think of the coaches that you guys have had when you guys have just been going through for years, right?
Yeah.
And so I think maybe the Butch Davis.
And that would work.
Yeah, right. Where you thought you had the coach who was going to be there for the long term, right?
Yes, we did. We did.
Just came from Miami, and so you think this is going to be the guy to take us to the next level, and it's just not happening right now. You're just not seeing it on the field, or at least you're not seeing the W's happening on the field. You're talking about yesterday, guys, in a game where the Broncos are up 21-3 midway to second quarter. Oh, and by the way, you're in Commanders territory, driving with all the momentum. You get a touchdown, game over. Game's over. You get a field goal.
Game's over.
Game's over, right? You go from that point, and the Commanders come back. Russ starts throwing interceptions. He doesn't look the same. Offense looked like they're in quicksand. They can't do anything in the red zone. Commanders just keep scoring after scoring. And you have a defense that has a lot of quality pieces on them, give up 35 points, which is just ridiculous. To a quarterback, by the way, who has only started 3 games.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah,
and so when you look at that, you're like, your defense has issues. Is that a Vance Joseph problem, right? Do you have to go make a change there? Is that a personnel issue, right? You look at Sean Payton. Yeah, you scored 33 points, but it was look, as close as the game was, it really wasn't that close, to be honest with you, right? And so you got to go figure it out. And oh, by the way, you play the Miami Dolphins next week, and that type of offense. Trust me, yeah, it doesn't get much better. So it could be something, honestly, where the Week 4 game against Chicago could be the last winnable game the Broncos have for a long, long time. You take on the Jets, and I get it. Zach Wilson is the other side of garbage, but it is what it is, right? And then you have the Packers, right, at home. And even though, they have a guy who's really starting to get himself going, and they lost yesterday to Atlanta Falcons, Packers are still a decent team to be able to go and play against. So,
yes.
I mean, if you don't, you got to figure out to find a way how to get an upset and get a win. But you usually never see the Broncos start 2 games at home and lose both of them. Traditionally, they're able to win those 2 games early, especially when you have the elevation at your backing too. So it's an upward climb for these guys to be able to get to the postseason.
Now, as obviously as a you're in the news, you get to see these guys and everything like that. Is it more fun? Obviously, what kind of personality is Sean Payton? Is he kind of? I hear a bunch of stuff about him. Is he a cool guy? Is he a grumpy guy? Is he what is
He's a guy who's under the heart of Bill Parcells, right? And so he was really good with the media. That's the one thing you hear about with Bill Parcells. He was really fun with the media.
He was fun. Had some good liners.
Haven't realized that too much yet with Sean Payton, but in the same way, it's just even for training camp, the media had to go into one tent. It used to be they could kind of go on the sideline and be able to watch, all of training camp. So, it's just the media would treat you a lot better if you're winning.
That's always true.
A lot better. If not, then you're kind of like my son, and we're just kind of figuring out what to do.
All right. Okay. Well, obviously, you know what? To your son, hey, I just want to give you a shout out where it's almost over, but I got to talk about one more thing, Colorado, Denver related.
Yes.
Denver Nuggets. How excited are you that they're NBA champions?
Guys, let me just say this, okay? At least with LeBron James, when you won the championship in 7, against the
loved it.
Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
It was like, oh my God, we finally won it.
Yes.
But it wasn't like a complete surprise where it was like you could never see it happening. Sit down, son. Hold on.
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
It is different, right? With the Denver Nuggets, it was truly something where you said, I could see every other major team in Denver winning a championship. I could never fully see the Denver Nuggets.
I buy into that. I buy into that.
Because it's like Colorado Avalanche. For sure they're going to win championships, right? You know about that, right?
Yep.
Even the Colorado Rockies, as bad as they are, they were still the World Series. Like there's a pathway.
2007. Yeah, 2007.
And then Broncos are Broncos, right? Like they have the tradition. You know about
I know they do.
The Denver Nuggets could never beat the Lakers. Like that was really it. But they beat the Lakers in a sweep. I was like, wait, they beat the Lakers, guys.
What?
Like we're going to be in a championship. And I was there for Game 5 for when they won the championship, and it was one of those moments where it was just like how my son is right now,
like that, like he exhaled.
He just couldn't believe
waiting to exhale. You're waiting to exhale.
Yeah, it was amazing to be able to see it. Now, how will they be this year? They lost Bruce Brown. That's going to be a bigger loss than people will think. And look, the Lakers really retooled, man. I mean, even though they got swept, but at the end of the day, it's this way, guys. As long as you have number 15, Nikola Jokic, and the things he's able to do on the court, man. And it's to the point, guys, where Jokic is this. The best way I can describe him is this. You will initially look at Nikola Jokic and say, ain't no way. That's what I call him. Ain't no way he's doing this. Ain't no way he's getting all these rebounds. Ain't no way he's hitting all these shots. And then you look at him after like Game 5, you'd be like, okay, there's something to this big old sloppy guy who really can't jump 5 feet in the air. And then 10 games into just watching him, you're like, this is the best basketball player in the game. And I don't know how he's the best basketball player in the game. But he's the best basketball player in the game. I mean, the stuff that he does throw the ball around the court is like, how did he see this guy? How did he know about this? How did he know to set this up to play before? That's the type of things that he does. So it's just amazing. You see that on the screen? See that? See that? See that?
How many people did y'all have at your parade?
Oh my goodness. We had, I believe the number was 800,000. It was 600,000 or 800,000. It was one of those two that we had there. So we had a pretty big number that was around for the parade, but it was fun. Able to cover it for CBS News Colorado.
Nice. Yep.
Such a joy, such a blast to be able to do it. See people, fire trucks and have a great time. And you hope that this team will be able to go and repeat. I would say this for them, though, for the Nuggets is their starting 5 is the best in basketball.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
What happens behind there may be something they will have to retool. And I could see them actually going to the trade market, grabbing a couple of guys, more 3-and-D guys who could be able to go and vibe with Nikola Jokic and be able to make things happen. But at the end of the day, guys, as long as you have number 15 and you have number 27, oh, by the way, and Michael Porter Jr., who was a guy who struggled in the finals, if he takes it to the next level as a shooter and as a defender.
That's not fair then. That's not fair.
God bless. 6'10" and can shoot the lights out. God bless you.
Well, God bless you, Justin Adams, for coming on. You've been wonderful. Your son's been wonderful too. I know he's young and everything. We've covered the Buffaloes. We've covered Coach Prime. We've covered the Denver Broncos. I know a lot of people from, and then obviously the Nuggets. I'm saying so. Like I said, it's personal. It's personal, and I'm glad you came on, Justin. You're awesome. Shout out to CBS because you guys are covering Colorado first
all the time, baby, and we're doing what we got to do, man. I will say this before I go up my buffs. There will be people who are waiting, and I mean just waiting to say, Deion lost the game. Prime, he lost this game. Tell you what, he can't be that type of coach. Or they may lose a game against I don't know if Arizona State, they got blanked by Fresno State, but it could be a team that they lose.
Right. It's
kind of like Colorado State, who they shouldn't lose to. And so people might try to discredit what he's doing now. As Oliver Lucas, my high school coach, told me, I will tell you this. This will be the worst football team that Coach Prime will have on the field this year.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Just wait until next year.
And he, in a sense, said that too. He said, I don't have everything.
No, he doesn't. Because, guys, think about it. When you look at the roster, what do you say? The number one thing you need is the quarterback. Well, they have that right now. If Shedeur comes back, then guess what? You will have arguably the best quarterback, at least right now, arguably the best quarterback back into the game, right? Would you not? Would you not say that, though? Would you not say that? So
I got a question, though, with that. Shedeur is
Bad boy.
putting himself up there as far as draft too.
Yeah, and he was a guy that early on when I saw him, and I saw him at Jackson State too. I knew he was
like
good.
An entirely different dude from
Man,
Jackson
he does.
State.
Even better.
Because a lot of those passes that he's throwing on ropes now, they were like lofted last year, and now
he's got some zip on that ball now.
Yeah, bigger, stronger, and guys, the accuracy is what really gets me. I'm looking at the accuracy, and I'm like, my goodness, man, he's about as accurate as my son throwing stuff on the ground right now. I'm like, he is just ridiculously accurate. But again, it's all about how can you continue to compile, things on your roster. Dion, he started out with he really wanted to get the speed first, right? So the outside in, so right, the corners, the safeties, the DBs.
He needs the beef in the middle now. He needs that beef in the middle.
And one of the hardest things to get in a college program is the beef, right? Yep. I talked to a couple of NFL guys who really knows the game, and they usually says the hardest thing to go and get is the speed first, right? The speed is like the last thing that usually comes. Well, Dion got the speed now. Now the hard thing for him is to be able to get those elite big guys up there. And if he can be able to go and get that, to be able to get those elite guys, that he should be able to do well.
Awesome. That is awesome.
He might be trying to get this guy. Look at him. Look at him go. Look at him go.
Yeah, like I said, you both were awesome. I got to give the nod to your son though, because
Can you say bye-bye?
He was doing his thing. But Justin, anytime, you know what I'm saying, we'd love to have you on again. And you know what? Much love to you and your Buffaloes. I know you're in heaven right now, loving what they're doing.
Hey, I'm loving it all the time, and thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me on. And you know what? Whenever you need me, I'm just a phone call away. Or as like Coach Prime likes to say, I ain't hard to find.
Okay, well, we will find you, Justin Adams from CBS News Colorado. Have a good one, and go Buffs.
Go Buffs. Be blessed, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Hey, that was awesome. That was awesome. What an interview and everything. I just gotta, shout out to them, and especially his son. That was fun. That was a fun interview, and it's always fun when you have fun topics and good stuff, and you can spread cheer throughout the world. And you know what, this guy, we got to bring him on. His name is Casey, and he co-hosts the We Like Sportz Show. And what is up, my guy?
Speaking of cheer and sharing cheer, look who it is.
Look who it is, Casey.
I wanted to match with Keith. What's going on?
Nothing much. What's happening?
We'll see what happens tonight, and I can tell you in about 5 hours how I'm feeling.
Casey, have you shown the We Like Sportz Show audience? I don't think you have on the show, actually, but the Miles Straw jersey?
I have not.
You have not. Will you please go? I made a bet. This is the rehash for everybody. I made a bet that Miles Straw would not hit a home run this year. Casey goes to the Rays Guardians game in St. Pete. I would say Tampa, but it's actually in St. Pete.
Correct.
Goes to St. Pete. And, that Friday night game, because he went to all three of them, Miles Straw, I mean, he whacked that ball out. It was a no-doubter. And because of that, I am always, a man of my word. I got him the funds, and Casey now has a Miles Straw Guardians jersey. Look at that. And you know what, Casey? I said this to you when you showed me the picture of it in our little group chat. I said, you know why I like that so much? Because I like the navy blue jersey. But I like it because it says Cleveland in front instead of I love the Cleveland. I'm a native Clevelander, and anytime you can show Cleveland with the Nike, you went all out. You got the Nike. I don't know. You didn't get that from China, did
you? This is a Keith Allen authentic.
Wow, that's sharp. That's really sharp right there. So yes, I'm a man of my word. And got right. That. But we're doing a new segment now, Casey, where I actually spend time, and we're gonna go. We're going to go around the NFL, and I'm going to say the scores, and we'll go real quick and just say one thought about the game, okay?
That works for me. I watch Red Zone, so I got them all.
Okay, so obviously the Eagles took care of the Vikings 34-28 on Thursday Night Football. Cousins had four touchdowns and an almost comeback. What do you got, Casey?
I mean, the whole thing with Cousins is, primetime Cousins doesn't exist, right? I mean, he put up 45 fantasy points. He threw about 350 yards at 3 touchdowns, I think.
Yep.
So, I mean, they didn't win, right? But you're playing the Eagles, who are, a top caliber team, and going into the year, You look at the Vikings, they thought they have no expectations, right? They were on the decline for loss to Dalvin Cook. So they may not be, 2-0, but I think that they do have a solid team that you got to watch out for throughout the year.
Keith.
0-2. What can you say?
0-2. That's what
I think they're a tricky 0-2 team. I think that they're a team you don't want to play, though. Like, if I was the Browns, I don't want to play the Vikings.
And I would also say this, which attributes with Deshaun. Cousins got almost 700-800 yards passing, and they're 0-2.
Yeah, he does. Well, on to the Bills and the Raiders, because the Bills crushed them 38-10. My thought is Josh Allen looked good in a comeback game, but again, it was the Raiders.
He got his mojo back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Raiders getting Jimmy G, going into it, you thought, there's a chance they could be something, but Josh Jacobs had -2 rushing yards, I believe.
I have him on my fantasy team. I know all about it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of tough. Having a -2 as your top 5 running back in the league going -2 yards, you're not going to win many games that way.
Speaking of fantasy, I want to say this. My son and I are going head-to-head against each other, okay? And I will be making him run suicides tomorrow if the Browns kicker, Dustin Hopkins, scores 9 points. I'm up by 8.14. So if Dustin Hopkins, who's kicker, gets 9 points, I lose to him. I'll be very upset, and he's running tomorrow. And I don't care if there's child labor, whatever, child laws or whatever the case may be. He's running.
If it was Cade York, you would have a better chance of winning.
I know. We actually got a kicker now. I'm kind of scared, but I told my son, if that just means the Browns win, or it comes down to that, then I'll take it over a fantasy win, but I'm still going to make them run no matter what. Speaking of AFC North games, Ravens went to Cincinnati and got the 27-24 victory. My take is Bengals 0-2.
My take on that was neither team to me. I watched that game. So I got my 2 TVs. I watched Red Zone on the main one, this game on the second one. Neither team looked too great offensively. Defensively is how the Ravens kind of got away with that game. It got close at the end. But personally, as an AFC North, as you said, I am, depending how tonight goes, I think we're in a decent spot. I mean, Burrow's going to turn it around, but I don't think the Ravens or the Bengals look that great. It might bite me in the ass saying this, but like I said, watching that game, the defense was pretty good, but the offensively, I don't think anything stood out to me that was, wow, I'm too scared as of week 2.
Right.
All I'm going to say is losing those 2 safeties for Cincinnati is biting them in the ass. And think about this. If the weather hadn't have been sucky last week, Marquise Goodwin had beat them twice.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said the same thing.
And with the pass to Zay Flowers reminded me of that.
Correct.
And also, Burrow is hurting.
That's what I was going to say. That Burrow injury, I think, is bigger than it's advertised.
He doesn't throw it right. He doesn't step off. There's something with his throw. What I'm saying? He loses his accuracy, and then he doesn't want to throw that deep ball as much because obviously he doesn't have the form. So, hey, good stuff.
That's going to be something that's going to mess with him the rest of the year too.
You keep hitting it. That's all. If
it's not getting better.
It's not getting better, and I think absolutely. Well, what's not getting better, well, actually is getting better, I should say, is Geno Smith, because the Seahawks went to the Motor City and won 37-31. Like I said, my take is Geno Smith actually looks pretty good again.
Yeah.
What's the Lions? That's the question. I mean, you go week 1. Yeah, they're 1-1. You go beat the Chiefs, and then you go week 2 and lose the Seahawks, who looked rough week 1.
Yep.
If you think about it, the Lions' defense is still horrible because Kansas City dropped a lot of passes first week.
That's true. That is true. Kadarius Toney
did everything he could, but Mahomes can't catch his own passes.
Well,
I think that Goff is underrated. I don't think Goff is as bad as people think he is.
Casey, glad you said that. Goff's numbers, 28 of 35. 323 yards and 3 TDs. It was the defense. It wasn't Goff. I'm a big Goff fan. I think he's turning around, and I think he's, he's
and I picked him up on fantasy.
And I'm not sure if you remember, but they were on Hard Knocks last year. The Lions, right? I didn't watch, all of them, but only the Brown season when we had Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley.
It's contagious, bro. It's contagious.
Yeah, correct. I watched that one, but I watched a few episodes of Dan Campbell's just Dan Campbell, right? So it gets eyes on the team, and I think what they're building the culture-wise is it's positive, right? It's kind of like Sirianni with the Eagles.
Eagles,
Right?
yep.
I think the culture with those two kind of head coaches, kind of turns those kind of ragtag players into a good team. So I do think the Lions are content. I mean, I don't see championship, but I say playoffs. I could see them making it somewhere in the playoffs. The Seahawks, it's just so hard for Geno Smith for me to. I have him in fantasy on one of my teams, but just like the Geno Smith it's hard for me to.
I gotcha.
Get behind per se. But
Yeah.
I do think the Seahawks. I think both teams.
Okay.
Again, like I said, the Vikings. They're a team that they could get some wins. And they could hurt a team that is trying to make a play at the end of the season. So
there's no easy wins against those guys.
Exactly. And it's the coaching. Pete Carroll too. You have Pete Carroll. It's kind of like the Tito Francona, right?
Yep.
You got those older guys that they have that pedigree of winning. It's hard to, discredit them when it matters.
Right. Speaking of coaching, our next game is Titans 27, Chargers 24. Deuce Staley, Chargers head coach. Is he in the hot seat? Because they're 0-2 and they're not looking.
Yes, sir. He's in the hot seat.
Yep. I agree.
He might be the first domino to fall this year.
Yes, I agree. My friend he came over for week 1. It was funny. Dolphins fan came over and Chargers fan came over. So we watched that game when we had both sides, right?
Yep.
Chargers wise, it is. I have nothing against Chargers, right? If they're not playing the Browns, I have no problem. The Dolphins the same way. My friends, like them, but it is. I don't know. I feel like we've watched a lot of the Chargers games end just like they did last week, just like they did this week. And Ryan Tannehill didn't look too great to me when I was watching that. For them to pull away with how much talent the Chargers have. You've got a quarterback. Eckler was out, but Kelly put up 100 and some yards against the Dolphins last week, right? You had a tough run game. You have Mike Will. You have Keenan Allen. What's the issue? Gerald, they have two pretty good tight ends.
Yeah.
Like they just, I don't know what it is, but they have a good team on paper.
The personnel is there.
Yeah, they looked at them as possible making it to the Super Bowl this year if they put it together. Because last year,
Herbert's supposed to win MVP according to everybody in the preseason.
Correct, and it's like the Guardians. You have again, like I said, you have those one-run games in baseball. You look at the NFL, and the Chargers have those one-possession games that come to the end, and they lose every time. They do something wrong to lose that game. And if the ball just turned that way, they could have won half of those. Right. Yep. So it's all about the what ifs, but it's got to be Staley because what is it? It's not the team. They have the pieces there. What is the issue?
I'm going to push back one thing you said about Tannehill. He didn't play impressive, but I'll say one thing. He was 20 of 24. I mean, for 246 yards. He did, you know what it was? He didn't lose it. I guess that he's
correct. Yeah. Alex Smith.
Yes.
Type player. I don't hate Tannehill, but just watching it, like there was nothing that told me that the Chargers weren't the better team.
It's boring.
Yeah, the Chargers to me, watching that, I'm like, they should have won, and especially coming off that week 1 against the Dolphins. That was the best game of the week.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Right, and they did look good. Granted, it was a loss, but I think it was a good loss week 1. Right, but this week 2 loss, I don't know. It's
not good, but next game, maybe this will be fun for some people in Cleveland if you're a Baker bro. Well, the Buccaneers 27, Bears 17, Baker Mayfield 26 of 34, 317 yards and 1 touchdown. I got a question for you guys instead. Fields, is he not the guy in Chicago? And is Baker having a resurgence? I'll let you guys mull on that.
Go ahead, Keith.
Chicago is horrible.
Fair enough.
They had high hopes.
Yeah,
I ain't had no high hopes.
Keith, are you getting? I think the Bears need to find a new quarterback. Obviously, they're not going to do it this year, but Fields is not the answer.
It's tough.
It's tough. It's not looking good for him. I'll say that. But that team is horrible. I mean, honestly, they're horrible. They're horrible.
Is Baker having Keith? I know you're a Baker bro. Is Baker having a resurgence? Is it going to continue, or will he fall off the face of the earth like he had the last couple of years?
Sometimes you got to watch people for who they really are, and Baker is one of them type that's when he's up, you find out who he really is, and you just got to go game by game and stuff. You know, honestly, you got to go game by game.
I mean, okay.
But
So
the one thing Baker does have in his favor with Tampa Bay, that he didn't have with the Browns. Tampa Bay do got decent defense.
Yeah.
But,
He has a team around him. That's
Yeah.
what I think it is. Like I got my 18 Baker jerseys, right? Every color I have possible.
I was gonna
right?
make a joke, but I'll leave.
I get confused as Baker. Like I like Baker.
I was gonna
Mayfield.
say he's our Baker Mayfield impersonator right here.
Yeah, correct, exactly. So I think that I like to see him succeed. Like I'm not saying I'm rooting for the Bucks, but like again, if they're on and they're
Right.
Baker, like I don't want to.
I root for him too. Why not? I don't hate him. I make
Correct.
jokes.
Like,
It's fun to make jokes about him, but I don't.
He
hate
did
him.
nothing wrong with us. He had the passion. Like I was behind. I mean, granted, obviously I was behind him. I had all those damn jerseys, so I was all in with them. And like I just think it's the injury. He's healthy this year. He's got a team around him. You got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You've got a good receiving core, and you have the defense, like Keith said, right? So I think they're not playing him, like I said, with a torn labrum, right? So you're putting him in a spot to win.
Oh, you think that might have hindered him a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. And then with Fields, it's you got to keep in mind. I said this last time I was on. I believe we talked about something along the Bears. The Bears had the first overall pick.
Yep.
They weren't a team like they traded that pick away to the Panthers, right?
Yep.
So they were the worst team in the NFL last year. So when we were talking about the expectations of this team going to the playoffs, 8 wins, 9 wins, making playoffs was a win for them. You got to keep in mind, even though they didn't take the first overall pick, they had the first overall
That's
pick.
a great point. That's why we have you on the show, Casey, because you keep me in check here. But
exactly.
The only thing I'm going to say is, look, I am an Ohio State alum, and I love Justin Fields what he did, but he hot garbage when it comes to throwing.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think they just run with them and see what happens. I don't think.
I mean, didn't he throw the pick 6 yesterday? That kind of.
Yeah, that was horrible. At the goal line, that was not a good play. They had a chance to win the game still.
Right.
When he threw that.
Right.
It wasn't over. The game wasn't over.
Yeah, well, that's gonna. He made it over the other way that time, but
exactly.
All right, let's go to a game I thought was kind of boring because a lot of mistakes and everything. You think it's a marquee matchup when you look at it, but it didn't play out that way. Chiefs 17, Jaguars 9. Obviously, Kansas City had 3 early turnovers. Travis Kelce got a touchdown. Maybe it's that Taylor Swift dating. I don't know, allegedly, whatever like that. But what takes on that one? Glad it's over.
So. Like I said, I thought that'd be a better game. The Jags, to me, it's tricky because like they were good last year. Calvin, I said this probably 5 times on 5 different shows. Calvin Ridley. Mm-hmm. I continue to bring him up. We talked about the Jags. I think that he was a huge addition that people don't remember him getting. He was suspended for the year.
You're saying you're betting on him?
Yeah, correct. I would. I'm telling you though, like Calvin Ridley, I think is a great player. He was tough with the Falcons, had all that stuff happen. Look at him now, not a step missed. Right, that was a huge addition. If they can get to where they were at last year with Calvin Ridley on that team, they are a team to beat. And Trevor Lawrence, it's the regression. Is he going to play where he should be, or is he going to regress back to 2 years ago when he had Urban Meyer? So it's the coaching as well, right? Doug Peterson's there. He's got a championship.
He's solid.
Yeah. It's not Urban Meyer. So I think that's with that. You look at the Chiefs. The thing that worries the Chiefs is you got Kelce, you got Mahomes. Receiving wise, you lost Tyreek Hill, and they still haven't replaced him. Kadarius Toney, they said, this is the, not the new ex Tyreek, but it's the fill-in for Tyreek. Sky Moore, Pacheco, you had CEH last year. He was supposed to be huge. He's not even playing, right? So I think that there's I'm not saying if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm worried, but I'm not confident that, we're going to run it back like the Warriors per se. So it's the same with the Bills for me. You have high hopes. They're kind of the teams you think are going to.
But their rosters got worse. I mean, they didn't get better.
Exactly. That's what, to me, going into this year so far, watching 2 weeks, there's a lot of possibilities that could, win a championship this year, a Super Bowl this year. Yep. No team is leaps and bounds ahead, it looks like. So yeah, week 2 of however 18, but we'll see.
Keith, what's your take? Anything?
On Kansas City, Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Hey, you do what you got to do to win. And,
that win does matter. It does matter.
Yeah. Keith, they got Chris Jones back also.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes,
Their
exactly.
My
defense always
advice
better.
from what I said in my short. Better sign. Better get that dude his money.
He got paid. He got paid.
Yes, sir.
Well, another game. I like this game. It didn't pan out that way because AR5 got a concussion, got hurt. But the CJ Stroud versus Anthony Richardson game, Colts 31, Texans 20. Obviously, Stroud 30 of 47, 384 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think he is the Ohio State quarterback that will finally put that to bed, that Ohio State can't produce any good quarterbacks. It's not going to be Justin Fields. It's going to be CJ Stroud. But he has to, his team around him is not good. So he'll put up big numbers and probably still lose games. Colts having Gardner Minshew, that's a big, having a backup that can, come in there and win ball games. Your take, Casey?
It was tough seeing Richardson go down because he was looking good.
He was looking good. He was. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny because, Pat McAfee always talks about the Colts because he played for them, right? And he says last year with Matt Ryan, they won 4 games or something last year. It was not a fun brand of football to watch. With Richardson, even if they won 5 games or 6 games and they didn't make the playoffs, it's a fun kind of football to watch. You have that big play dynamic, right? So like last year, if that game was on, I don't really give a shit about it, right? With Matt Ryan as quarterback, Richardson and Stroud.
That's two young quarterbacks going at it.
Exactly, and I like Stroud. Like I said, I hope he does well because I hate that the Ohio State quarterback just blows in the NFL. Yeah. So I want to see him succeed. And again, when it comes to the NFL, there's, as you can tell from this conversation we've been going through, not many teams I don't really like. Like if the Panthers succeed or if the Colts succeed, I'm not pissed, right?
Yes.
Like Right. It's not a team that I don't like or I hate. So I think it's promising for them. And the Texans, even like I said with Stroud Texans, I don't mind the Texans. The thing that worries about the Texans is DeMeco Ryans is the coach.
Yep.
Is he the answer? I mean, 2 games in, right? But they have a good quarterback.
Their defense looked good in Baltimore week 1, though. 25.
Yeah,
they held Lamar Jackson.
Was like 10. Correct. Yeah. It's just it's tough when you have a first-year coach and a first-year quarterback.
Yes, that's a great point. Great point.
Going into that, whereas both teams do, right?
They're going to have growing pains. Yep, growing pains together.
Have a new coach
got
as well.
Relatively 2 young teams too on top of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I think the Colts do have pieces. Yeah, the Colts have pieces in place. You look around their team; they've got a strong Leonard linebacker's pretty good. Michael Pittman's not bad. They've got pieces around the team. It's just
they got to grow. They just got to grow together.
Correct. And like I said, we've been there for however many years. We have new quarterbacks, right? So I would say there's promising. It just depends on coaching. It's the coaching personally
you're right.
for me.
With young teams, it's all coaching. You're absolutely right. And speaking of good coaching. Maybe not exactly one great team and one team that's surprising a little bit. 49ers 30, Rams 23. Obviously, CMC with 116 yards and a touchdown.
I drafted him everywhere.
I did too. But the only thing I'm going to say is I like Brock Purdy. I think he's a great guy for the system. 17 of 25, 206 yards. But the knock on him, and I'm hearing this. I watched some of the game. I was going back and forth, but. He misses the deep throws, and there's some opportunities in games that the 49ers could be blowing these teams out, but he's missing those deep throws. And Keith, we'll go to you first. What do you think?
That could be the difference between them eventually beating a Dallas or a Philadelphia.
They need, big plays. You need them in football games, and the 49ers aren't getting them from the quarterback
position. Think about this. Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't make the big throws in the Super Bowl against KC.
Yep. Keith, that's some good wisdom right there.
But you said good coaching, though. You look at McVay. You look at the Rams. The Rams
they're playing above. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah.
Yes, you go into the year. Why is McVay coming back? Donald's I could get traded throughout the halfway through the year. Cooper Kupp's out these first 2 games. Stafford's what's he now anymore? Right? You have no running back because they just Cam Akers is packing his bags.
Right.
They got Kyron Williams or something. I have to take fantasy. Yeah. 2 touchdowns or 1 touchdown.
I like that new wide receiver for the Rams, Pua.
That guy too. You have Van Jefferson, who you thought would do something, and you have Puka Nakua or something, and then the other one.
My son has him on his fantasy team. That's all we talk about.
And Tutu Atwell, they got him over there, so they've got. It's kind of. I mean, I think the Niners are tough.
The real deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you got Kittle as the third or fourth option. Yeah, I
know there's ridiculous. Samuel and CMC. That's
exactly. And Shanahan running the offense with CMC, I think, is tough. And you have Brock Purdy, right? You look at Brock Purdy, like you said, he might not be pushing him to the next level.
He never throws an interception, hardly ever.
But you think he was drafted last overall last year. It wasn't that long ago. He only has
coming off an injury too.
Yes, because he didn't play all year last year. So how many games has he played?
I think it's played what?
This is his ninth game, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he at double digits yet? So you're thinking you got a guy who was drafted last overall. That is not even 10 games in, and he's looking fantastic. But he's leading the team the way he should for the situation that they're in. So I think it's two examples of good coaching. McVay, like I said, I think this shows alone this year is that they have a team that could, kind of push them over.
Hey, shout out to Dre Big Baby Robertson. First time seeing y'all on the Year Sports Show. Please let me know if you guys ever want to collab. Have a great show. Oh, well, you know what? Hey, we're trying to do so, my guy. Hey, thanks for the comment. And anybody else got comments? Please throw them in here. And love to see that. Love to see that.
So what's the next one we're looking at here, Ed?
Yeah, we'll go. Well, yeah, I'm trying to figure. I'm getting better at this, navigating. So I'm, what I'm saying.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying. So yeah,
like I said, having Sundays off, I watch every game. So I got.
Yeah, well, you know what? We do got other games. We're gonna go to two next games. Here's the two. I put them together because of the two comeback games. Giants come back 31-28, overcoming a 21-point deficit. My take on this is, but Barkley got hurt, sprained ankle.
3 weeks. He looks like he's out for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but the Giants may be 1-1, but I don't think if I was a Giant, granted our Giants fan's not here right now, but if I was a Giants fan, I wouldn't feel too great about being 1-1 because they were down, like you said, substantially against the Cardinals, who you thought would be tanking this season. You have Josh Dobbs. I like Josh Dobbs, but I don't think he's the answer for
maybe if you need a rocket or something or whatever.
I think somebody called the Arizona sideline and said, "Hey, it's situation Caleb Williams."
Yeah, exactly. Hey, but Kyler's
going on here.
Hey, what's going on here? They figured it out.
We talking about Caleb Williams. Come on now.
Do you think there's a way they don't take Caleb Williams though? Do you think it's guaranteed if they got the first pick to take Caleb Williams?
I don't. Well, let's hope Kyler.
Think about this. Think about this. They had Josh Rosen 1 year, and he kind of got the shaft to me. And the next year they went on ahead.
I'll break it down this way.
And drafted Murray.
I'll break it down this way with every NFL team. Okay, every team. Whoever gets the number one pick, if they feel like they have a quarterback in place, they're taking Marvin Harrison Jr. And if not, they're taking a quarterback.
When's the last time a receiver was taken number one?
I think the NFL's changed though. I think if they're comparing him to his daddy and he's way bigger than his daddy, but can do everything that his daddy did in Indianapolis.
Correct.
How do you not, the way the NFL is played, having a number one, how do you not take him number one? I know he's a receiver, but how do you not?
But if you don't have a quarterback who could throw to the receiver.
Well, that's my thing. Then you're going to draft the quarterback. If you don't have that's how I look at it.
If you believe in Kyler Murray. Yeah.
I don't, but say he comes in and balls out.
Yeah, no, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. If he has a good finish.
Yeah, say he does. Then you take Marvin Harrison Jr. because who's the number one wide receiver in Arizona?
Yeah, I agree with you. Marquise Brown. I agree.
That's not, come on. That's not.
No, I agree. It's a valid point. Yeah. And you look at, like you said, it's
and running backs. Marquise Brown can be had at the trade deadline. Honestly.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Okay, maybe they're really trying to rebuild that way, Keith. I could definitely see them if they're really trying to.
Zach Ertz. They got Zach Ertz. He might get traded at the deadline, Zach Ertz.
All right, we're moving on. I'm done with the Arizona roster. It keeps getting worse as we keep talking about it. Commanders, like I said in my breakhead news, they go to Denver and they win 35-33. Now, the Broncos had a Hail Mary, but what wasn't answered was Russell Wilson's pass. I think it was pass interference, and they got screwed, but hey, whatever. Your take.
Actually, the play before the Hail Mary, really, that dude was out of bounds.
He was out. I thank you. I thought I agree. They gave
it. Should have never really came to that for real.
Okay, fair enough.
Dude was out of bounds, and that's when you lose, you don't get no calls. We seen that. We done seen that all too well in Cleveland. When you seen Marvin Harrison knock people's heads off and everything, and Antonio Brown kicks our kicker, and
when he Kung Fu Panda when he went Kung Fu Panda on Spencer Lanning.
Yeah. So
I remember
that. Denver is in a weird place right now.
Yes, they are.
You really don't know if Sean Payton is in or out on Russell Wilson.
Hey, they're a mile high, but they're feeling the lows right now.
Think about that. Spianame's return to Colorado too.
Yeah.
If you were on Twitter though, and you looked at if you look at halftime of that game, Russell Wilson's back. He's back. He's returned.
Broncos country, let's ride.
Dangerous, exactly. So then you look at the end of the game, opposite. So it's Sam Howell, right? Do you think Sam Howell's on Washington?
You know what? He just like a Baker maybe. Do I think his ceiling is that high? Probably not. But he can be a guy that can come in.
2-0.
Threw for almost 299 he threw for, and you know what I'm saying, 2 touchdowns. So as long as he doesn't make mistakes, and you know what, I'll say this, any quarterback in the league, as long as they're not throwing interceptions and they're getting over like 250 yards, and they got to have a running game, obviously. You need complementary football.
Brian Robinson Jr. is looking pretty tough so far this year.
He is, yeah. So,
but Washington's 2-0 though. Hey,
when you're 2-0, you ain't got to apologize. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. You look at Denver.
They got to apologize. You're 0-2.
Denver's 0-2, so you got to think about it. Like it's.
But
it's
you know what? Sean Payton getting paid, go got some money, and he in year 1. So
yeah, but Ron Rivera. This is Ron Rivera's last. If they don't do something this year, he's out of Washington. That's what I think also matters.
I think this is a year of evaluations for that Denver Broncos roster with Sean Payton, and you're going to have a lot of changes next year. You can't do it like Prime did it over in Boulder, but there'll be some changes in Colorado.
So as of 9/18/2023, 9/18/2024, is Russell Wilson the quarterback of the Broncos?
No, I mean
we're talking end of week 2 next year. Is he the quarterback of the Broncos?
He's this is his last year in Denver. Last year in Denver, without a doubt. You know, maybe we'll make a bet on that, but I don't do good with bets with you, Casey.
I'm sure I won't remember.
No, but I think that I wanted to bet you something about Russell Wilson, but what would be the point? It ain't gonna be a Russell Wilson Denver Broncos jersey. So
yeah, I don't want a Broncos jersey.
You don't want a Broncos jersey. So I'll tell you. All right, we got 2 more games, and the big CBS game of the week didn't turn out to be that way with Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, but maybe if you're a Cowboys fan, shout out to Alan Perales. He always, chimes in. He's a big Cowboys fan, and you'll see him on Let's Talk Sports and Sideline Sports. But Dak had 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wilson, 12 of 27, 170 yards, 3 interceptions for Zach Wilson as the Cowboys won 30-10. My takes on that was, Zach, you better play better.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about Rodgers because I wasn't on last week, but like that's crazy the way that happened.
Yeah,
like I'm not a huge Jets fan, but I would have liked to see what could be if they had Rodgers. It's such a you go. Could you imagine being a Browns fan? And if we traded for Rodgers, like the same thing.
Don't even say it. Don't even say it.
You know what it was, Casey?
It feels like I feel for them because I feel like
you know what it was, Rodgers? He pulled the Andrew Bogut Cleveland Cavaliers.
Or Andrew Bynum. Even we had Bynum for.
Oh, you Bynum too, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, like it's just crazy. Like I feel for the Jets just because that's
so wrong. I mean? That's so wrong.
I just couldn't believe that happened.
At least he could have taken them to the playoffs and they got injured like at the last week of the season or something. And then they got
fourth play. Right. That's just crazy to me. And now you're back to Zach Wilson. I couldn't imagine. I feel for Jets fans because, like I said, you went from like, oh, we suck. Hey, we're gonna get Rodgers. Oh yeah, hell yeah. We got him.
Are you saying like the jet crashed?
The jet did crash. Correct. They ran out of fuel. It's currently in the lagoon, so it's
better send the search and rescue team.
Yeah, but then we look at your favorite player, Dak Prescott.
Me?
the other end of it, the Cowboys.
Oh, you said that. I got to put the shades on because you're giving me shade right now.
The Cowboys, man, I don't know. The Giants, to me, ain't got a shot. It's the Eagles or the Cowboys right there. I think the Cowboys, they look good.
They look good. Micah Parsons and that defense look really good.
That defense is tough. And Parsons is who do you compare him to?
Somebody they were saying Lawrence Taylor yesterday.
That's what I mean. Like it's impressive. It is truly impressive. So if Prescott, like we've talked, doesn't throw those picks, that was the issue last year, right? If he doesn't throw those interceptions. You know what I
like best about him? 31 of 38. That's tough. If he stays that, with that, what I'm saying, that's a good completion percentage.
Correct. So I think the Cowboys, I think that they've got a shot. And Mike McCarthy's calling plays now, I think, this year, right? Instead of Kellen Moore's out. So it's and I knew last year they had some kind of, those two with play calls. It's like having two quarterbacks is like having zero quarterbacks. Having two play callers is like having zero play callers, right? Because then you got half the team on that one side, half the team on the other side. It kind of, divides them up. So I think the Cowboys, too, are a team that, you should look out for. Yeah. I think going into the year, there wasn't like the Giants almost, I think, had almost similar odds to win the division. And I think the Cowboys, it's not even.
You're right. It's Cowboys and Eagles. I agree with that one.
And that could be the NFC championship matchup, Cowboys.
Could be. That'd be
It actually should have been that last year, for real.
Yeah, if the Cowboys beat San Francisco and then you're right. Could have changed things.
That would have did anything on offense.
Well, Tony Pollard broke his leg too, I think, that game.
Yeah, that
kind of hurt. But
last
game, guys, and it was the Sunday night on NBC game as the Finns. Shout out to Johnny Cruz. He's a big Finns fan on our network. Dolphins 24, Patriots 17. They did it on the running game. Mostert 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tua was efficient, 21 of 30. Not big yards, 249 yards. But Mac Jones is Mac Jones. When you're 31 of 42 for only 231 yards, that ain't getting it done.
What about your broad Zeke, man?
I didn't even. He didn't do much.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like it's. I'm pulling up I'm curious right now just to see what he's so far.
Yeah, I didn't have him on my notes because I don't think he. That's
what I'm saying. So so far this year, he's got 2 games in, 12 carries, 42 yards.
Could the Patriots be in a race for Caleb Williams?
They need somebody. They do need somebody. Because
Mac Jones. I mean, I don't know, man. It's interesting. The Patriots have the coaching of Belichick. You always got to worry. Like yesterday's game, I think with last night's game, for example, would have been more of a blowout if they didn't have Belichick. Because that game was close.
It was close. It was 17-3 at halftime, but they made it close. I mean,
watching it, I had I think the Patriots had a chance watching that game. But at the end of the score,
they did. They had a chance. Yeah, I mean they were in it. I mean, till late, and then the Dolphins put it away with it. I mean,
so the Dolphins, if Tua, we've talked about this before, Tua stays healthy, fucking Tyreek week 1 having 200 some yards, that's crazy. No one can hang with him, right? I was never that high on Tyreek on the Chiefs, and I mean I watched that whole game, that first game it was impressive. It was impressive.
Yeah, I don't think Charger Stan was happy, was he?
No, he was not happy. He was sitting right in his chair right here, and he was not too pleased. I can tell you that. But it was the Dolphins fans sat on that side. So, but it was. I'm telling you, I think the Dolphins could be a team. They were a team last year as long as Tua stays healthy. And you've got Jeff Wilson, right? You may not think Jeff Wilson's a big deal.
I had him on my fantasy last year. I had a couple good games with him. So yeah,
he was on the Niners. They traded for him from the Niners. McDaniels came from the Niners. I think that once they traded for him, he had a big finish to the season. You have that 2-headed back of Wilson and Mostert. If you ask a random fan in Cleveland, do you know who those 2 players are? Probably not. but they're under the radar guys that could have big games, and they fit in that system.
Well, each one of them can go over 100 every week.
Correct. That Mike McDaniel runs. They have that, like I said, that background of working with him and having the productivity before. So I think that if that team does, it's every sport, if they stay healthy, they're going to win. But I think the Dolphins are a team that's we went through all these games. I think there's about 6 to 8 teams to me that have a potential to, make some noise.
They're going to compete with the Bills for that AFC East. I mean, that's going to be, and I give them to be the favorites right now. I would.
They have the offense to hang, and they have.
Yes.
Their defense isn't bad either. They've got some. Again, the Dolphins to me are under the radar. I know more about them because my old roommate is a big fan of them. That's okay. So I would watch their games.
Boots on the ground.
Correct. So I know more than I would about them, but I do think that they're, like I said, could be a team that makes noise if they could, stay healthy. And the coach, like I said,
I love him. I love Mike McDaniel.
It's just like the Lions with Campbell and the Eagles. Yeah. I said those unique kind of guys.
Yes.
That can get the team together.
Did you see him at halftime? He's sprinting to the locker room. What a character! I love.
I think he was telling the Karen, like, let's race or can you keep up or something.
See, that's awesome. That's
correct.
Awesome. What a fun guy. Well, we got so we went around the NFL, which is awesome. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. That was the funnest trip we ever had, I believe. We're gonna do a classic. We have about 5 minutes left. We'll do it. I love to do this because Casey loves to do this. This time hop. I thought CJ was gonna be on the show, but this is dedicated to one of our co-hosts, CJ. Shout out to CJ, who's a big Georgia fan, big Georgia Bulldogs fan. So we're going back to 2004. Who did the Browns draft in the second round out of Georgia in 2000? And I'll give you a hint. He was a defensive back. That helps.
Sean Jones.
Sean Jones it is.
Fucking Keith is untouchable with this shit, dude. I'm telling you.
He says, end the show now. End it now.
Since that was so quick, I got one for Keith then too.
Okay.
Fair enough. Because Casey stays in 2004.
All right.
It's not 2004.
Make it quick. I'm about to disappear like the zoo.
I got you right here. It's not 2004. Right. It is a Browns player, and he did play in 2004, but it was for Kansas City. Okay. He played for the Browns from 2010 to 2012.
Seneca Wallace.
He was Dwayne Bowe.
It was good guess. Good guess. He was a linebacker.
Oh, linebacker. It was a linebacker.
I can run down real quick for you. He played for us 3 years. He had 23 games played, 22 started, 2 picks, 2 forced fumbles, and 4.5 sacks. He played for Kansas City from 2002 to 2004, Dallas 2005. He played for the Saints 2006, 2009, and then us 10 to 12, and is a one-time Super Bowl champion.
Scott Fujita.
Yep.
Keith beat me to that one. I was going to say that.
That was a union rep when they was.
I totally forgot about him.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about Scott. I totally forgot about him. He popped up somewhere for something.
With the
I'm never going to get you.
You're also quicker on the trigger than I am. You'd be a great Jeopardy champion, I tell you that.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Keith would be great on that grid, the sports grid
thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'd be tough to beat on those.
Wow. What a way.
Hats off again to you, Keith.
Yeah, that's awesome, Keith. Way to end the show right there. I want to go around the horn, Keith. I know you're going to get off real quick. Keith, give us something that you obviously Browns tonight.
The Browns game tonight? Yeah. What's the expectation?
F the Steelers.
All right.
F the Steelers.
Well,
Dog the Steelers.
They're not
shit on the Steelers.
Okay.
Piss on that logo.
Okay.
F the Steelers.
All right, Casey.
The only thing I want to say about the Steelers is Peyton texted us earlier about his
shout out to, like I said, I gave him a shout out earlier. Prayers with Peyton. He's going to be watching the Steelers game with his family. So shout out to Peyton. Hey Peyton, I just want to say this tonight. Go Browns. I won't say F the Steelers, but tomorrow the Steelers. Okay, buddy?
Correct. If you like Peyton and Mike, if you guys like any team but the Steelers, I would be, if you were playing at 7:15 game, I'd root for any team that you wanted if it wasn't the Steelers. But like I said, go Browns. And like I said, Peyton, I hope everything is good. And Mike, all prayers to you too. And hopefully You enjoy the game, even though the Steelers will lose. I hope you enjoy the game.
Also, I got one more quick thing to say. Happy
Yep.
31st birthday to my son, Keith Jr. He
Happy
is still a
birthday!
fan as
All
well.
right.
F the Steelers to you too, Keith.
Well,
little Keith.
The only thing I'm going to say is go Browns. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the We Like Sportz Show. We bring it. We're going to bring it again next Monday night at 5:30. We like the Browns, but you know what? Anybody out there, we like sports, and you should too. You should join us, and we'll have a bunch of fun. So peace out to everybody, and have a great night and a great week. We'll see you next Monday at 5:30.
All right. Peace.